Hey guys, it's Bridget with San Diego Seed Company, and we are in the garden after a fresh, beautiful rain on December 1st. And in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about what to plant in December in Zone 9 and 10. We're going to talk about how you can use the calendar to make that even easier. But before I get into that, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you're notified anytime we put out a video. So it's December 1st, and I'm like, what? It's December 1st? Before you know it, it's Christmas. I haven't put up a tree. Things are crazy. But I am in the garden, and you should be too, because even though it's a little bit chilly right now, it is a great time to be in the garden because, I mean, look around. Everything is so happy. Of course, we just got a rain, which is really amazing. Don't get the cat pooping in the garden.
Oh, I'm good.
He needs some private time. Things are growing really easily right now because it's nice and cool and we are getting some seasonal rain. And December is a time that's really busy for all of us, but if you can squeeze a little bit of time to do succession planting, you can get extra rounds of things like your leafy greens. This is a beautiful tray of outrageous red and our quick lettuce, which was part of our Seed of the Month Club. And this is actually going to go into the garden. We're succession planting regularly. I've got some heads of lettuce that are already ready, actually. If you come over here, you can see these guys. These were planted about a month ago, and these are actually ready. So I'm going to harvest those, and in place of those, I'm going to put in the tiny little transplants that are ready to go into the ground. So if you watch our November What to Plant in the Garden, you're going to notice that everything that you planted in November, you can plant in December with the addition of another crop we've got over here. Follow me through the garden, which is our celery. So this celery actually has overwintered, which is amazing. This has been growing in the garden for a couple of seasons now, and look at all the ladybugs on it. Celery grows really well in Zone 9 and 10 as long as you can give it ample moisture and make sure you get really good soil. The better the soil, the more moisture it can hold, the happier your celery is going to be. But if you're planting celery for the very first time, December is the month to do it. If you live in an area in Zone 9 and 10 where you're likely to get frost, you can use row cover. A very lightweight row cover will work to protect the plants so that they can get up and growing, and they're really going to thrive in the cooler temperatures and the ample moisture. Okay, so if you're a brand new gardener and you've never planted anything in the garden in Zone 9 and 10, and you're in December and you're thinking, I want to start a garden, here's what you need to know. December is a cool season month, and what does cool season mean? Cool season is a big chunk of the year in Zone 9 and 10, about from end of August going into February, where the weather is cooler, the days are shorter, and there's actually free moisture that falls from the sky. It's called rain, right? During the cool season, you're gonna plant a specific group of crops, and those are things like your leafy greens, so those beautiful lettuces that I showed you, kale, all your brassicas, so broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, and your root crops like your parsnips, beets, radishes, anything that you're actually going to eat the root of, like a potato, you're eating the tuber, which is the root, you plant in the cool season. Now, a little bit of a pro tip here. Sweet potatoes are actually warm season, even though they're a tuber, people mix those up all the time, but think about how tropical they are. They want to grow in tropical warm temperatures, whereas like think about an Irish potato. It's growing in Ireland, it's cold and it's wet. So that should be a nice little indicator for you of which one you plant when. So in addition to those crops, you also can grow alliums, which are collectively your onion crops. So things like spring onions, bulbing onions, and you guessed it, garlic is part of the onion family. You plant that in the cool season. Your herbs will do really well right now, and a host of flowers that you want to plant in the fall and the winter in Zone 9 and 10 because they get massive root systems, which means you get more blooms in the spring. Now we're actually going to do a video just on planting flowers in the winter and the fall in Zone 9 and 10, so make sure you check that out. It's actually one of like the secrets of having a beautiful blooming garden all through the year in Zone 9 and 10 is starting your flowers in the fall and the winter so you get more blooms come spring. Okay, so here's another pro tip if you're a brand new gardener and you're starting a garden in December in Zone 9 and 10. December is a really interesting part of the year because our days are really short, but we're not that far off from the time of the year when the days are going to start getting longer again. Now, a good example of why that matters is if you come over here and you look at this lettuce, it's huge and it's beautiful because it was planted almost 6-8 weeks ago when the days were a lot longer. They're getting shorter and they're getting shorter. That tray of lettuce that I have, when I put them in the ground after I pull this out, they're really gonna grow very slowly. And it's actually a common question we get is, why is everything in my garden growing so slowly this time of year? Well, it's not necessarily you. It has to do with the temperature. The cooler the temperature, the slower the microbes and all the energy in the soil actually works. And then also there's less hours of sunlight. The less hours of sunlight, less photosynthesis, the plant actually grows slower. So what's great about putting stuff in your garden now is it's gonna grow slow for probably about 6 more weeks. And then when the days start to get longer, all of a sudden you start to see things grow so much faster because they're getting more hours of sunlight, more energy, more growth. You get it, that's how it works in the garden. So let me show you a really good example of how things grow differently depending on when they're planted in the cool season. So I've got this row of cabbages and they were planted a lot earlier in the cool season. I planted these about, I think, end of September. And then I've got these guys over here that I planted beginning of November, and look how much smaller they are. Of course, they're newer, they're younger plants, if you will, but they really haven't done a whole lot in the last couple of weeks because the days are so short. That's not a me problem, it's just a factor of where we are in the season. Now, what I am gonna see is after the shortest day of the season is over and the days start to get longer, everything in the garden is gonna start growing a lot quicker. And as temperatures rise as well, all the soil microbes in the garden and the soil will actually start to work more. And so the plant is able to eat more plant food, grow more. It's just going to be a happier plant in general as the temperatures get warmer. So again, it's not you, it's just the time of the year. So for those of you who might be kind of lazy gardeners, you might be thinking, well, why would I even plant anything in November and December if it's not going to grow very quick? Well, a couple different reasons. One, it's fun. That's why we're gardening. I mean, I want to plant all the time. I don't care if I was on the moon, I would plant something. So there's that reason. The other reason is what you aren't seeing is there's not a lot happening above, but underneath in the soil, they are establishing big, strong root systems, which means you will have more resilient plants. They will be better come springtime when the temperatures get a lot warmer. They tend to fend off pests more. You're growing, it's kind of like that iceberg analogy, right? You're growing more underneath the soil that you can't see than on top. But you're still growing something and it's going to lead to a big, happy, beautiful plant as soon as the days get a little bit longer. The other reason why you want to be planting in the garden right now is an idle garden is not always a really happy garden. If you take a couple months off, that's fine, but then the gophers move in, the weeds move in. You really want to be active in your garden every single month so that you can enjoy all the things that it teaches you and also so you can stay on top of monthly tasks and not get overwhelmed. Okay, so as a recap, if you're in zone 9 and 10, right now we are in cool season in December. And you can plant things like all of your brassicas, which is broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, all of your root crops, which are radishes, beets, parsnips, carrots, anything that grows in the ground, potatoes, you're eating the tuber, right? You can plant a lot of herbs, and you can also plant all your leafy greens, so your kales, your lettuces, your arugulas. I've got beautiful arugula over there. All of those grow really well because the temperatures are cool and there's ample moisture, and that's what those crops need to thrive. Now, lucky for you and for my mom brain, if I miss something, it's in the calendar. So if you are in zone 9 and 10 and a beginning or even an intermediate gardener, this calendar is going to be very helpful to you. You can turn to December or any month for that, but if you turn to December, it will actually tell you exactly, that's November, exactly what you should be planting, as well as a host of information that is applicable for that month. My goal is to get you growing. I want to inspire, educate, and support 1 million gardeners around the world, and especially in zone 9 and 10, because that's my area of expertise. And this is all of that information that you need to avoid the most common mistakes and be as successful as possible.